downfield.
Classic Game Time. The best games from the past season on your view.
Welcome to another episode of Left Coast Sports with Jon Schaeffer. And this week, I'll be joined by Extra 1360's Jim Russell as we take an inside look at the three-team race developing right now in the NL West between the LA Dodgers, San Francisco Giants, and San Diego Padres. Jim and I host the wrap-up show on Extra 1360 following weeknight Padres games. Jim also produces the Darren Smith Show, one of the most successful shows in San Diego sports talk history, weekdays from 12 to 3 on Extra. In addition to taking a look at the top of the NL West, we discuss the trade deadline needs for the Padres as they try to capture a division title for the first time since 2006. But as always, before we get started with today's episode, we invite you to give us an auto download on your podcast platform so you get future episodes automatically. Left Coast Sports is basically everywhere that you can get podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, the free iHeartRadio app, YouTube, and Spotify. We ask that you leave a review as well. And while you're here and listening, if you don't mind switching over to Twitter and following me there, at Jon Schaeffer, that's JONSCHAEFFER, at Jon Schaeffer. Could the NL West send three teams to the postseason this year? Will the Padres go all in at the trade deadline? Here's my conversation with Jim Russell. Jim, you look at this rotation right now for the Padres, and they've had struggles, right? Chris Paddock has really been ineffective, at least at times in 2021. Blake Snell has been good at home, but he has struggled on the road. When you look at the biggest needs for the Padres heading towards the trade deadline, does it start with starting pitching for you or not?
I think after the past couple games, it has to start with starting pitching because they have one reliable guy, 1.5. Mm-hmm. Like I would put Joe Musgrove into the mix, but his last start gave up 5 runs in the first inning. It was a drag to get through 5 for him. They have one guy that you rely on as, okay, he's going to go out there, give us a solid 6 or 7 innings. It's win day when Yu Darvish is pitching. Mm-hmm. And right now, besides him, you have a bunch of question marks. Blake Snell's great at home. He's not good on the road. He did throw 4 scoreless innings in his last start on the road, but that's not good enough. You need to, for him, you expect more out of him when he pitches. And right now, it's just not doing it. So for me, yeah, the starting pitching is quickly becoming a huge need.
It becomes even a bigger need potentially because when starters aren't going deep into games, and this has really been a theme all year. Yeah, Yu Darvish works deep into games. Joe Musgrove has been able to work deep into games. But the combination of Lamet and Weathers and Snell and Paddock is not, and it's taxing this bullpen. And you wonder if they have enough. It's hard to imagine that as good as this bullpen has been, that they don't add to it as well right at the deadline because they've just thrown way too many innings the first 90 games this season to do this for the next 3 or 4 months.
Right. You can't do it. You can do it for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Right. You can makeshift your bullpen and your starters, and hopefully you have a hot offense for that stretch where you can, maintain good baseball and winning baseball, even if your pitching is not good. But you're talking about, you're right, 3 or 4 months of this. That's just, you can't do it, man. You can't do it. You have to find more depth in the starting rotation, or these guys need to just pick it up and be better. But that's easier said than done. Yeah. We say that a lot about the offense, especially with Eric Hosmer and Will Myers. That's way easier said than done. And their track records show they're probably not going to do what we want them to do. It's just probably not going to happen. Might happen a couple games. Mm-hmm. Might happen for like a good 2 weeks. But over the course of an entire season, it's just not happening.
Do you feel like it's, and we've talked about this a lot on Extra 1360 with our wrap-up show, but do you feel as if because of the division that they're in, it's just even more challenging? Like when you have holes, if you're in the NL Central, you say, you know what, we could still maybe fend off the Milwaukee Brewers. But in this division with the Giants and the Dodgers have been the class of this division, it's like if you don't have not a perfect roster, but a better roster than the one the Padres currently have, it's hard to envision that they track down both of these teams in the second half of the season. It feels like if they don't upgrade, it's going to be hard to do that.
Well, you're in a division where you need to keep up.
Yeah.
And every day it feels like if we lose, we're going to lose a lot of ground here. And, with the Dodgers and the Giants, 2 teams that are 2 of the best teams in all of baseball, it becomes, you start looking at the standings like, oh, we're now 5.5 back, we're 6.5 back. We moved one. They had a stretch where they won. They went 9-1. They gained a game and a half. That's
how hard it is.
Shows you how hard it is in this division to gain ground. When you have a stretch like they did, they're playing the best baseball probably of the season. When they return home for San Diego's opening day against the Reds, they went 9-1 on that homestand. They gained a game and a half. That's tough. That's tough to do.
Yeah. No, I mean, this division, you're right. I mean, the Giants have been a surprise, but at this point, it's like you can't just assume that they're going to fall off because it's been 3.5 months.
Now, I will say, sorry to cut you off there, but they do play the Giants and Dodgers a bunch down the stretch.
Right, so there's an opportunity.
Right. You're not relying on other teams to beat them. So, again, if you stay within arm's distance, 3.5, 4, 5 games, you can make up that ground because you play these guys so much. Problem is, now you're looking at you have to win like almost all of these series here or even sweep these teams to get back in it if you fall 5-6 games back.
What are you most looking forward to seeing next week? All-Star game, the Padres have 4 players in it. It's the most players they've had in an All-Star game since they were in the World Series in 1998. There's really good storylines. I mean, Mark Melancon leads the league in saves. Fernando Tatis Jr. has been brilliant all year long. Jake Cronenworth, a second year, big leaguer, is in the All-Star game. And, of course, Yu Darvish, who knows he might start the game. But what are you most looking forward to seeing from a Padres perspective next week?
Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
He is on the big stage now. He was last year for the postseason, but there were no fans.
Right.
The All-Star game is the second biggest stage you could be on besides the postseason, especially the World Series. Like, there's nothing bigger than that. But All-Star game, like, people watch because of the stars. It's called the All-Star game because of the stars that play in it. And Fernando Tatis Jr. is one of, if not the biggest star in all of baseball. And I want to see him just, do something good during the game. Like, if he goes 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But if he goes, like, 1 for 2 with, like, a triple, makes something exciting, like, that would be cool. I want to see that.
You think he leads off the game for the National League or not?
No.
Yeah, probably not, right?
No.
Because of his power. I mean, because of his speed, you say maybe.
Who else is in the starting lineup?
Oh, that's an interesting point.
Because you got Acuna,
right?
Who could lead off the game? Who else you got? You got.
It's not going to be the Reds outfielders.
It won't be Castellanos. It won't be Winker. It won't be the second baseman for the Pirates. I have no idea who it is.
Right.
First baseman. It won't be Freddie Freeman.
Right. Won't be Buster Posey.
Won't be Posey.
Yeah. Won't be Adam Frazier. 2 point.
Won't be Arenado.
Yeah. It could be Tatis.
Yeah. It could be Tatis or Acuna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be either Tatis or Acuna. You're 100% right. We just went through the 8 positions.
Those are the only 2 guys that have leadoff experience, and you'd want to see. Honestly, I think it's going to be Tatis.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
I think it is because he is the guy who everybody wants to watch.
And that'll be the first plate appearance for Tatis potentially against Shohei Ohtani in their respective careers, right? Because we didn't see Ohtani pitch a year ago.
Well, do we know if Ohtani is starting the game?
No, we don't officially, but I feel like there's good reason to believe that he might throw an inning and start the game.
That is what I want to watch.
Yeah.
I want to watch Shohei Ohtani versus Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
That is going to be must-watch television.
It's as good as baseball really gets. Right. I mean, the year that Ohtani has had, coupled with the year that Fernando Tatis Jr. has had, that is as good as baseball can offer in 2021. What do you think? I mean, Manny Machado has had really a good first half of the season. Maybe not a great first half. He's really turned it on the last 6 or 7 weeks. I think a lot of people believe he is an all-star snub, but could it serve him well to avoid Coors Field in the All-Star game and just take a few days off? He has been really battling injuries throughout the course of this first half. Could that be beneficial for him and the Padres down the stretch?
Yeah, just because you hear what Jace Tingler says about him and how he's dealing with nicks and bruises, and it seemed like he was injured earlier this season, which is really hurting him at the plate. Not defensively though. Defensive wise, he should win the Gold Glove this year. Like I know Arenado, he's great, but even if you look at defensive metrics, Machado's better than Arenado this year.
Yes, he has been.
He has been. So his defense has not fallen off. His offense is picking up. He's starting to heat up. His OPS is almost around 850 right now. You could look, I mean, if he gets an OPS over 900 this year, which is all-star quality and it's, all league if your OPS is over 900. From where he was a month ago, that's a huge improvement. And the All-Star game, yeah, I wish he was there. I consider him a snub. But you're right. Couple days off, you hope that helps him. You hope that, gets him healthier. And he also continues to swing a hot bat like he is right now.
Mm-hmm. For you, what is the biggest second-half storyline in the NL West? What's the most intriguing thing to be watching over the final 2.5 months of the year?
Of any team?
Yeah, just as you watch it develop, I mean, is it Bauer's availability? Is it the Giants' ability to stay in this thing?
Yeah, I would say it's probably, are the Giants really for real? And yes, I still am saying that even though we're at the All-Star break now. But you've seen teams after the All-Star break completely fall off the map.
That's true.
August and September is that's tough. And the Giants' schedule, it's tough. It's not like it's going to get any easier here. So do they have enough offense or actually, you know what? I take that back. You know what the biggest storyline for me is?
What's that?
What do these teams do at the trade deadline?
Yeah.
That's my biggest story.
Yeah, that is really, honestly, that could be the biggest day of the regular season in the NL West.
Because it's three teams, three of the best teams in the National League.
If not all of baseball.
Right. All vying for pretty much 3 spots.
Mm-hmm.
They could all make it. 2 is the wild card and 1 is division. But you want to win the division. So you got 3 teams potentially all going to the postseason. All of them have needs. There's not one team that's perfect, not even close.
That's a good point.
So, and they're all pretty much the same needs, pitching and offense.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Starting pitching, you look at what's going on with the Dodgers, with Dustin May, now Trevor Bauer.
Clayton
Kershaw is on the IL. You're right. Pitching will be at a premium, certainly in the second half. All right. For our listeners, how can they find you on social media?
You can follow me on Twitter at JimRussellSD. So, yeah, give me a follow.
All right, Jim Russell, co-host of the Wrap-Up Show, Extra 1360, producer of the Darren Smith Show as well. Jim, thanks for doing it today.
Yeah, man.
Fun conversation, and thanks again to Jim for joining us today. If you are a Padres fan, Jim is an absolute must-follow. You can find him on Twitter at JimRussellSD. That's at JimRussellSD. No one, and I mean no one, does a better job day in and day out than Jim when it comes to covering the Padres. Also, this reminder, don't miss the best high school football games from this past season with Classic Game Time. Fridays on YourView. That's Classic Game Time this summer only on YourView. If you have not already, please subscribe and auto-download future episodes on whichever podcast platform you're listening to this podcast on, and please leave a review as well. And once again, follow me on Twitter at Jon Schaeffer. That's JONSCHAEFFER at Jon Schaeffer. For previous episodes or more information about Left Coast Sports, you can visit yourview.com. That's YURVIEW.com. YURVIEW.com. As always, thanks for listening. We'll catch up again next week right here on Left Coast Sports with Jon Schaeffer.